Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Leo. Welcome back to Yoga with Lynn and Leo.
And welcome to our 3 poses today. So it's day 4. Hopefully you've been following our 18 days of yoga. Leo's just about to go through the equipment you're going to need today.
So I'm sitting on 2 foam pads. We've got a brick and a blanket.
Okay, so our first pose, we're coming into a supine action. So these are 3 poses from our longer routine on day 1. So these next 18 days, we start off the week with a long routine, and then we're going to be going through different aspects of the practice just so that you can come a little bit deeper into the poses. If you want a longer practice, then go to day 1 of 18 days of yoga.
Absolutely.
All right, so you can see Leo's got a brick here. Now, this may be quite a strong action for those of you who've got tightness in the back, and it might be that you have to turn the brick, if you have a brick, round in this direction. So Leo's going to have it slightly turned up and legs crossed. Now you've got to remember that even though we're going into a supine action, you're going back into the unknown, you've got to see that you ground down your thighs at this stage, because eventually as you start to get more and more mobile, this will become eventually a Padmasana action. So we'll talk all about that a little bit later. But see that you ground down with the thighs and lift and lengthen through the spine and roll your shoulders back and come onto the brick. So when you're on the brick, you've got to see that it lifts you to go down. So yes, you can see this hinge in action. Now again, if the head is dangling, you can have a blanket underneath the head. I'm going to show this on Leo. She won't need this blanket, but those of you really tight back muscles, then have something underneath the head so that it is possible. I'm going to take this away from Leo now, but she's really pleased about it.
That's a shame.
So what you're going to do is just take the head back and then reach the arms up, straight up, and then fold your arms and reach the elbows up and keep that lift, and then extend over. So what we're trying to do is really touch those spinal muscles gradually in this action. And again, if your arms aren't touching the floor, if you're able to extend them away from you, eventually they will go down to the floor. But remember, listen to your body in these poses. It's quite an extreme action for some people. So do listen to your body and just gradually ease yourself into this action. So we're going to come up. You can stay in this pose for a little bit longer if you're finding that it's really helping with those shoulders. But we're going to come up and do the other side now. So we're going to cross the legs. Now, we're going to cross the legs. I'm going to show you another way of working. So you can, if you haven't got a brick, use a folded blanket and then make a little bit of a roll here. I'm just going to roll it this way, like this, so you can make a nice roll. And this also can be used, and in this way it gives a different action. It folds into the back, but also those of you who find this a little bit too hard or a little bit too strong, then this is quite a nice way of working, although this equally can be quite challenging.
Yeah, yeah. And we've changed the cross of the legs.
Okay, so do use the same method for both leg crosses, but we're just showing you a different way that also is quite nice to practice and then coming into the action. So this is really to help get that back really nice and open, those muscle fibers moving from the centre to the outer edges. So you're going to need all of these actions in your upper body. You just want to touch the spine so that more is possible. And then taking the arms up, folding your elbows, and then reaching those elbows right up towards the ceiling and extend over with the arms. So keep in that action. So you might find that one fold of the arm is easier than the other. Go and see that you are not overdoing, but reaching the upper arms away from the body, right up into the elbows and pushing those elbows away from you so you're getting that really nice dynamic chest opening. This is really a lovely, lovely way of working. And then releasing, and again, if you want to do your own timings, then do so. So this is really in our day one routine, but just to show you different ways of working and also different ways to use the brick as well. Now we're going to come for a Virasana action. Now we do have a tutorial on Virasana, but we're just going to show you again. Sitting in Virasana for some time can be quite difficult if you're sitting between your feet. We're using 2 foam pads, but again, this may be a little bit too high for some people, but if you are sitting for a long period of time, you don't want to really go into your best pose to start with. So you can see here, the feet are gripping, and what really lets this pose down a little bit sometimes can be this bulk in the lower leg here. So you need to see that actually when you sit back, all of this area is moving towards the heel side. You can see that Leo's trying to do this with her hands just to free up a little bit of space in the back of the knee. And if you practice this on a regular basis, then you will be able to go down a little bit further. So we're just going to show a little bit more of the action of the feet. You can see that Leo is adjusting. So what we want to do is try and get these little toe pads down, these little toes down, so we encourage a really nice opening in the foot. And then placing the hand flat onto the foot itself, you can see here. Now this is the challenge, you've got to see that you press that palm into the sole of the foot so that actually this hinge of the hand and the wrist gets a little bit of mobility there, and this will hold you in good stead for when you start standing on your hands or even in Adho Mukha Svanasana. It's a really good action. So those of you who can go a little bit lower, then this is the test. See if you can take one of the foam pads away, or even sitting onto the floor. But you've got to remember when you sit on the floor that you want to see that you've got really nice space in the thighs and that you're not overly sinking in the pose. So it's quite a challenging action. Really lovely on the chest, and especially with the action that we've just practiced with the supine action, the Sukhasana action gives that really nice opening in the back. So you've got to remember that feeling of the brick or the folded blanket in this action, and it really gives you that beautiful hero pose. It's lovely. Okay, we're going to release out of this pose. We're going to come for a twisting action now. So we're sitting Dandasana to start with to get those legs stretched out. So whenever you've bent the leg, it's a really good thing to then straighten. Leo's sitting on a couple of foam pads here. We're just going to show you Bharadvajasana in a very simple way, sitting on 2 foam pads, and we're going to have the brick just behind. Now this is quite a lot of height, but it's quite nice to work this way first. Now you can do this pose, practice it several times. So taking the legs to your left side to go to your right. So you can see here where the foot is going. You're seeing that the sole of the foot is really ready to collect the top of the top foot like this. So they just fit in together nicely. So this takes a little bit of time, and sometimes when you sit a little bit lower, it's a little bit more challenging to get. The thighs are moving forward, so they're straight in front of you. And you've got to see that you lift up through the centre of the body. So this is actually demonstrating with a little bit more height, and then taking your back hand, your right hand to the brick, and your left hand in front of the thigh. And then go up, keep going up. Ground down into the buttock bones, ground down into that connection, that mudra of the feet, and lift up through the centre of the body and roll the shoulders back and down. So it may be that you would like to work in this way just for maybe your first Bharadvajasana, and then perhaps take a little bit more support away. depending. We do have a tutorial on Bharadvajasana, so there's lots of different options there, so do have a look at the channel. And then release them, straightening the legs. So this just gets you in a good habit of lifting. Going a little bit higher gives you that really nice extension of the spine. You can see here Leo is still adopting that beautiful supine action with the brick in the back. The chest is really nice and open. So just remember that is a whole pose. It's a holistic practice, not just working on a single body part, but just seeing how the whole body is reacting in your Dandasana. And then taking the legs to your right side. Lifting up through the centre of the body, and then taking your right hand to your left hand behind you, and go up through the centre, go up through the centre. Yes, press down into those feet and lift up. So remember, when you lift up through the centre, you've got to ground down into the buttocks and get that turning action. So this is a high, as I've explained before, that this is a high seated action. The pose is to the floor, but eventually we start to improve the technique, and as I've said, do have a look at our pose directory to look at the different options with this pose. And then releasing and straightening the legs. It's really nice, isn't it?
It's a lovely pose to do on a little bit of support.
Yeah, just bringing the pose into extension is really nice. So sit in your Dandasana. You can see here Leo sitting in good Dandasana. Now, if you've got different body proportions and your your hands are not touching the floor, then do have a couple of bricks to put your hands onto. You can see Leo reaches the floor, no problem here, but for a lot of people this would be quite challenging. Extend into your heels. Just take time to pause. Take time to pause in between your poses and just be in your yoga practice. So that is the finish of our 3 poses today.
Thank you for joining us today. Hope you've learnt a little bit. Now, Lynn was talking about the yoga pose directory. If you have a look in the playlists on our channel, we've got lots of tutorials of different poses. So if you're looking for a specific pose to improve a specific pose that you find maybe a little bit tricky, then do check that out, because there are different ways of working that might help you if you've got a difficulty in a particular pose. If you do have a difficulty, then you can always send us a comment and ask us to do. That's what some viewers have done, is asked us to do specific things, and if and when we can fit them in, we do. Okay, so thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you again tomorrow. Namaste.